Straight all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how mindset really works. And I'll get into that in a moment. First of all, let me tell you about it. I have a daily motivation text message that I send out free of charge every single day. This is a message that's guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. So if you're a person who wants to be focused, sharp, and on point, here's what you do. Send a text to the following number right now. Not now, but right now. Here's the number. 305-384-6894. Send a text to that number right now. That will get you into my texting community, which means every time I send out my daily motivation text, starting tomorrow, you will be receiving that text message. So again, that number is down below in the show notes as well. And the other thing I'll tell you before I get into the topic is I have a free training. It is 45 minutes long for anyone who is serious about increasing the income and the revenue you are making in your business. I want you to understand that the person you're listening to, I'm a process and strategy guy. So I'm not going to tell you how to get yourself more hyped and motivated and more focused. What I am going to tell you is how to put some processes and strategies in place in your business so that you can increase your income without having to work that much harder to make more money. In other words, you want to make twice as much money, but you don't want to work twice as hard or put in twice as many hours, which you probably couldn't. That's probably scientifically impossible, mathematically impossible for any of you right now anyway. Go to workonyourgame.net. The training is completely free. As I said, it's 45 minutes. So set aside 45 minutes and go watch that whole training, because at the end of the training, I'm going to give you a link to where you can schedule a time to talk to me directly about how we can implement that stuff specifically for your business. That is at workonyourgame.net. So with all that said, let's get into today's topic, which is how mindset really works. Now, this show has over 2,300 episodes. I talk about mindset and I talk about mindset in every episode of this show, but how many episodes I have where I specifically have talked specifically on a mindset tactic, probably, or mindset strategy, probably 40 to 60% of this show I've talked about mindset. So how am I doing an episode on how mindset really works? I never did the episode specifically like this one, and this is something that really needs to be laid out, because I have noticed that while everyone who's in the thought leadership space talks about mindset in some way, even if someone's talking about money, or they're talking about building a business, or they're talking about systems, or they're talking about, somebody could be talking about family, they could be telling their life story. Everybody talks about mindset on some level. What I have noticed though is that many people don't really understand how mindset works and haven't really explained it on a basic level that makes it easily understandable for everybody. But again, this is my reason for existing in the marketplace. I talked about this in episode number 2162. What is your reason for existing? In other words, when you step into a marketplace and you want to sell something, whether you're selling yourself and whether you're asking for money or even something as basic as attention, you need to have a reason for existence. In other words, why do people need to listen to you or get whatever you're offering from you when they have the option of getting it from someone else? If you can't answer that question, then you shouldn't be in the marketplace. You shouldn't be in a room. So my reason for existing here is that I take subjects that sometimes you have never thought of at all, and I break them down and explain them to you. But also I take subjects that you've thought of and heard of a lot, like mindset, and I explain it in a way that nobody else can explain it, and nobody else can make it as simple and as understandable and as actionable as I can. I say that confidently because I've been doing this for a while. All right, that's why the show has over 2,300 episodes every single day, including holidays and weekends, since 2016. So with that said, let's talk about how mindset really works. Let me see if we can let's get a definition of this word mindset so that we're all on the same page here. And the definition of mindset, according to the dictionary here, I'm trying to get a dictionary definition of mindset, and it's giving me something that I'm not asking for. All right, so the definition of mindset, here it is. According to Wikipedia, this is a good definition. An established set of attitudes, especially regarded as typical of a particular group's social or cultural values, or the outlook, philosophy, or values of a person, or a frame of mind, attitude, or disposition. That's a good enough definition, but I'm going to make this even more understandable and easily applicable as we get into my points, which will be better than what Wikipedia can give you. So let's get into it. Point number one, the topic once again is how mindset really works. Here's the first thing that you need to understand. And this is something I laid out in my book, Work on Your Game, which if you have not read, you can get by either A, going to workonyourgamebook.com and get the book by itself, or B, go to thirddaybook.com and get your free copy of my book, The Third Day, and then just check the boxes and say yes to all the other offers I'm going to make you, because I'm going to make you an offer for the Mental Game Super Duper Bundle, which includes 4 books. One of them is Work on Your Game, so there you'll have it. Second one is the Mental Workbook. That's that red book that I always tell you about, that's about setting your mindset. I'm going to talk about that later on today. That's 2. Third book I'm going to give you in that bundle is Bulletproof Mindset 1.0. And the 4th book is 30 Days of Discipline. So those 2 books, I don't even have to explain what they are. The title says it all. So get that book, Work on Your Game, either way. Here's what you need to understand. 85% of your thoughts are habitual and unconscious. I want to let that sink in. 85% of the things that go through your mind on a daily basis, this is all the time, even when you're sleeping, are habitual and unconscious, meaning you are not even aware that they're happening, but you're doing them all the time. And since the mind controls the body and everything within must come out, 85% of your life then is controlled by things that you are completely unaware of, yet you are doing over and over again. If you can understand and accept the gravity of just this point alone, that should explain to you the value of mindset and why it matters so much. 85% of what you're thinking is habitual and unconscious. You're doing it over and over again. You're not aware of it. And that's controlling 85% of your life. Only 15% of your life are things that you are consciously choosing to do and think. The other 85 is happening unconsciously, involuntarily. So if you look at your life and you see some things that you don't like, it's not because you are consciously doing anything wrong. It's because the unconscious is controlling the stuff that you don't like. But if you can't take control of the unconscious, then you can't fix it. This is how many of you who are listening to me right now are very frustrated with yourself, because you've had a lingering issue that you have yet to fix, and you think the problem is you're not focused enough or motivated enough or not believing in yourself enough, and you're not disciplined enough, you're not working hard enough, you're not trying hard enough, you don't have the right approach to doing it, when none of those is the actual problem. The problem is things that you are not even consciously aware of, as I just explained. But you keep doing them unconsciously, habitually. See, this is the reason why so many people can have a desire to do one thing, yet they keep doing a different thing, and they figure that they can't do anything about it. You can do something about it, but if you're not aware of what you can do about it, then you're kind of right. You can't do anything about it. This is why I can confidently state, from what I just explained, I can confidently state that this is why most people don't change. Most people don't change in life because their mind works a certain way. All of our minds work a certain way that I just explained. We all are wired similarly in this sense. And we are completely unconscious of the fact that something is working one way and we're doing it all the time. So because we are unconscious about a certain thing, we don't have the power to change it. You see, to change something, you have to be conscious about it. You have to be aware that it exists. You have to know what it is. You have to be able to identify it. Then you can do something about it. But you got to be conscious about it. If you're unconscious about something, you can't fix it. So many people don't change in life, not because they don't want to change, not because they don't have the desire, not because they don't have the capability of changing. They don't change simply because there are certain aspects of their life that they are unable to change because they are unaware that those things exist. They're only aware of the things that they're aware of, but that only encompasses 15% of your life. The other 85% are things that you're not consciously aware of, and if you never become aware of them, you can't change them. So you're stuck where you are. So what will win? The 85% or the 15%? Usually, just by law of numbers, the 85% is going to win. This is why people don't change. This is why you have not changed for the last 3 years, that same problem that you keep having over and over again. I just told you why. So here's what happens. A By around the age of somewhere between 18 and 21 years of age, people become who they are, and they stay exactly that way for the rest of their lives. I've said this on the show before. I say this often when we're talking about certain subjects. I make this exact point, that most people become a certain type of person by the end of puberty, which is somewhere between ages 18 and, let's just say, 25, and they stay that person until they die. Well, it's another 20 years, another 80 years. They stay that person until they die. They don't change. And the reason why many people don't change is because they are completely unaware of how their brain actually works. Not because they don't want to change. Some people change because they don't want to. Some people don't change because they're losers. Some people don't change because they are destined to fail. But the rest of the people, that's only a small percentage. The rest of the people want to change. They just can't because they're unaware of what they're unaware of. They are unconsciously ignorant. See, consciously ignorant is when you know that you don't know something. Unconsciously ignorant is when you don't even know that you don't know something. So how can you fix something you don't even know that there's a problem? Trick question. You can't. So people become who they are. They stay that way forever. So here's my question. If you are interested in growth, progress, and change, would it make sense to take some control over this process that I just explained? Anybody listening who's interested in growing, progressing, and changing in a positive way in your life, in any aspect. You don't have to change everything. Maybe some things about you want to keep as they are, but there are some things you want to change. Would it make sense to take some control over the process? Because right now, your unconscious mind is in control, 85% of the way. So let's talk about how you can actually take control of this process. Anybody interested in that? Good, I thought you would be. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how mindset really works. Number 2. Here's what you must do. You must get conscious about the unconscious. This is why I wrote this book right here, called The Mental Workbook. If you have not read this book, you can get your copy of this book by going to workonmygame.com/workbook, or you can get your free copy of the third day by going to thirddaybook.com. Just say yes to all my offers. I'm going to make you an offer for this book, along with 3 others, called the Mental Game Super Duper Bundle, and I'll give you 4 books, $97 for just those 4 books. This one, Bulletproof Mindset, 30 Days Discipline, and Work on Your Game. And Mental Workbook is one of those books. But everybody who's listening to this show needs to be reading and using the Mental Workbook, because it's a workbook. It's not just a book to read, it's a book for you to work in. Everybody needs this book. Why? Because this book helps you get conscious about the unconscious. This book right here, Conscious About the Unconscious. If you don't have it, again, workonmygame.com/workbook. Now, why does getting conscious about the unconscious, why is this such a big thing? Here's why. Because doing so requires you to go against your human nature. And you have to get conscious about your unconscious thought patterns and intentionally change them. This is not the way that humans normally think. Changing your unconscious thought patterns on purpose and changing them to something that you intentionally chose is going against the grain of the way the brain usually works. This is why most people never do it. It goes against your nature. This is not something that just naturally happens. This only happens when somebody is consciously thinking about it and doing it on purpose. All success in life, ladies and gentlemen, is on purpose. I told you this in episode 864. Success only happens on purpose. That's the title of the episode. Another reason, let's say, that many people don't become successful in life, because they never get a clear purpose as to how and why they will become successful. They say they want to be successful. You ask anybody, you want to be successful, most people say yes, right? Well, ask them, okay, well, what's going to be the process? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Most people can't answer that question. They can answer the first question, they can't answer the second one. So here's how you get conscious about the unconscious. First of all, you got to notice where you have been taught wrong. In other words, your parents or your teachers or whoever you respected growing up told you some bullshit, and you realize that it's bullshit. You need to recognize that it's bullshit and delete it. Your parents were well-meaning. Your teachers had positive intentions. Doesn't mean they didn't tell you some bullshit. Somebody could have positive intentions and still tell you some bullshit. You need to identify the bullshit and get rid of it. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to notice what information you need to get rid of that is in your mind. Misinformation that you need to get rid of. What information are you missing? You got to notice when you have poor habits and poor mindsets that have been taught to you, again, by well-intentioned people, and what it needs to be replaced with that is more productive. You need to identify all of these things and replace them with better things. This is why, folks, you need a coach. This is why you join programs. This is why you get into masterminds. This is why you invest in yourself. The most important asset you will ever invest in is yourself. In case any of you didn't know, the most important asset you will ever invest in is you. What episode was that where I talked about this? This is episode number 2298. The best investment is you. So you're looking to invest in some real estate, some NFTs, some stocks, and some bonds. Fine, do that, but you better invest in yourself first, because you're the most valuable asset that you own. Because if you own a whole bunch of stocks and bonds and some NFTs and some artwork and you die, then it doesn't matter that you own that stuff. Not really. The most important asset that you own is you. You invest in you, then you become a machine that can continually create outputs. You continually create positive return on investment. That's what an asset is by the definition on a balance sheet. Asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. You should make yourself into an asset that is continually putting money in your pocket. And money can be money, but it also can be anything else positive that you want in your life. These are all choices, everybody. But the thing is, you must make these choices on purpose and with full intentionality. They don't happen by default. The reason why many people don't change, progress, or grow is because they never become fully intentional about change, progress, and growth. Everybody says they want to do it, but they're not fully intentional about it. Do you understand the difference? Fully intentional means you are actually going out and doing things on purpose to achieve change, progress, and growth. I was just on the phone with a company. I was in one of their programs, and I asked them, hey, why didn't y'all sell me the next program? They told me what the next program is. They told me the price for the next program. I'm going to join the next program. I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. The whole point is I want to grow and progress in my business, and I see these people as people who can help me do that. So I'm going to continually, intentionally investing in their program, which is in turn investing in myself to make me better so that I can better serve people like you. I'm being intentional about it. So when I tell you to go read books, I tell you to go to programs, I tell you to get in programs, I tell you to sign up for courses, I tell you to go to conferences, I tell you to do these things not just so you can say that you did them, because this is what people who are intentional about their success do. They intentionally do things. I just bought a ticket to a conference. This one was a $500 ticket to a conference. It's going to be down here in Miami in a couple of weeks from when I'm recording this. By the time you hear it, I already went to the conference. But that's another investment that I made in myself, and I don't even know these people like that. Really, I saw them I saw a video they were doing. I said, these people sound like they know what they're talking about. Worst case scenario, I could at least find out how they were able to sell me a ticket. I'll look at their marketing strategy, even if their material sucks, and let's just see what it's about. Best case scenario, the material is great, and I made a great investment. The whole point is I'm being intentional about these things. So the reason I can talk to you about these and I can emphasize to you, do these things, because I'm doing them. I can speak to you with integrity because I'm doing the stuff that I'm telling you to do. Many people don't make progress because they're not doing it on purpose. They talk about it, but they have no purpose or plan or system or strategy for actually achieving it. Many people talk about success in wishful terms, but they're never specific about success. So I'm suggesting that you do the opposite of what most people do and get intentional about it. Episode 1025, the opportunity in life is always in the opposites. Opposites of what everybody else does. I told you this. You step into a space and you want to be successful, look around what everybody else is doing, the average people, and by definition most people are average, and do the opposite of that. That's where the opportunity is. The challenge for many people in doing this is that it feels uncomfortable to go against the grain and do different from what everybody else is doing. Most people are followers. They just do what they see everybody else doing. The problem is you end up with the same results as everybody else. And since most people are by definition average, you end up average. And this is why most people are average. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how mindset really works. Number 3, you need to set your mind. All right, that's why it's called mindset. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. It's called mindset for a reason because it does not change easily. Mindset is not something that is different from day to day, week to week. It is set. It is set in place. That's why it's called mindset. Okay? For many people, their mindset is pretty much etched in stone, for better or for worse. If you want to change something that is set, for example, those of you listening to this who have never considered this concept, you've never read my book, The Mental Workbook, you've never done any work on your mindset, you've never done any intentional, purposeful work on your mindset. Let me say it that way. All right, and when I say intentional, purposeful work on your mindset, I don't mean watching fucking YouTube videos. When I say doing intentional, purposeful work on your mindset, that means you sit down and you intentionally map out how you want your mind to work for you, and you remind yourself of it on a consistent basis. That's what I mean when I say intentional, purposeful work on your mindset. If you have never done that, then I'm talking about you. If you have never done intentional, purposeful work on your mindset, your mind is set a certain way, and it's been set that way for the last fill in the blank number of years at your age. So if you're 42, your mind's been set that way for 42 years. You're 15, your mind's been set that way for 15 years. 65, it's been 65 years. Good news is you can change your mindset, but you must do it intentionally, and it requires a systematic approach. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is right now. If you want to change something that is set, you need consistent, habitual disciplines to make the change. Not random actions, not you got excited one time, not go hear some motivational speaker talk, not even passively consuming content, including this show, including YouTube, including some Instagram posts, including the daily motivation text I'll send to your phone every morning free of charge. Those are passive consumption of material. There's nothing wrong with passive consumption of material. Continue consuming my material. Okay, I want you to continue consuming my material. But I want you to understand that does not count as real work. Consuming material is not real work, everybody. Let me say that one more time. And you're hearing this from a person who's created more free content over the last 17 years than anybody on the internet. There's nobody's created more free content than me. And I'm telling you, consuming content is not real mindset work. The real work means you're actually doing something, not just listening, reading, or watching. That's passive. So consistent habitual disciplines are not just random actions. You don't just do them when you feel like it. And you have a specific way. What will happen is you will have a specific way that your mind always operates regardless of the externalities and things that you do not control. Keeping in mind that most things that happen in life are externalities, i.e. things that you don't have control over. 99% of your life is outside of your control. All you control is 1%. If you really think about it, you only control 1% of what happens in your life. Your mindset is about how much of that 1% you take ownership over. So how do you do all this? Daily disciplines, meaning a process for working on your mind. That's why I wrote this book. The mental workbook exists. Again, workonmygame.com/workbook. For those of you not watching on video, workonmygame.com/workbook. I wrote this book for you to get intentional about the way that you are thinking and to do it as a daily discipline. I lay it all out in the book. The framework's already in place for you to just follow what the book tells you. This is a process for your mindset. Understand that nothing gets set via random actions. Does that even make any sense? Can you set something via randomness? No. This is the reason why I wrote the mental workbook. It's the reason why I made 400 weekly motivation videos on YouTube back in the day. It's the reason why this show comes out every day. It's the reason why I send out daily motivation text instead of a weekly or a monthly motivation text. Because the way that your mind is set and the way that your mind is thinking, it is based on what you're doing on a consistent, everyday basis, not just what you do when you decide to think about it. Is everybody with me here? This is the value of setting your mind. And when you set your mind in the right space, what happens is your mind starts working on your behalf, starts doing things for you that you don't need to consciously do. So if you could take that 85% that's unconscious and habitual in your mind, and you can make it conscious, at least for the time being, so that you can set it and then put it back on autopilot, but now it's working in the way that you want it to work intentionally. Can you imagine how much stuff could be getting done on your behalf and you don't even have to think about it? You don't even have to consciously be aiming or pushing or striving to do it. It just happens on its own. That's what happens when you set your mind in the right way. That's what happens when you get into the right mindset. Now, you choose what the right mindset is. But the one that you have by default is not the right one. It's the one that you choose. Keyword. Let's recap today's class, which says how mindset really works. Number one, 85% of your thoughts are habitual and unconscious, so 85% of your life is controlled by things that you're not even aware of and you don't even realize that you're doing over and over again. So if you want to grow, progress, and change, you need to take some control over this process. Number two, get conscious about the unconscious. You have to do something that goes against your human nature, which is noticing your unconscious thought patterns and adjusting them as necessary and as desired to work in the way that you want them to work. This is a choice that you get to make. How do you want your mind to work? So I'm suggesting you do the opposite of what most people do and get intentional about this. The opportunity in life is always in the opposites, which is looking at what everybody else is doing, which is allowing your mindset to be in place by default, and doing the opposite, which is setting your mind up on purpose by doing actual mental work. And my book, The Mental Workbook, will show you exactly how to do that. Number 3, you need to set your mind. That's what mindset is. You set your mind. It's called mindset because it does not change easily. It's not mind idea. It's not mind how I feel this week. It is mindset. It is in place. It is set and it's not changing. For many people, this is pretty much etched in stone. If you want to do something that is set, you need to do it via consistent, habitual actions. You need a process for your mindset. You do not set anything by randomness. This is why I did the workbook, made 400 weekly motivation YouTube videos every Monday. It's the reason why this show comes out every day. It's the reason why I do a daily motivation text, because it's setting your mind with consistency. And the way that your mind is working is based on what you are doing on a consistent, everyday basis, not just what you do when you decide to think about it. With that said, text me to get my daily motivation message free of charge to your phone every morning. My number is 305-384-6894. And if you're serious about building your business to the next level, you want to increase your income and your revenue, but you cannot put in any more hard work and you may have run out of talent, I'm going to tell you how you can get it done without needing either one of those. Go to workonyourgame.net. The training is completely free. All you're going to do is go to workonyourgame.net and you get that full 45-minute training immediately. Work on your game. Dre all day.